Master your mind. How to develop your mind so you can achieve greater success in your work and life. Part 2. Chapter 6: Creativity and Imagination as Tools for Development. The sheer power of imagination has not been given its due in either religion, science, or spirituality. All of these seek to give the student a system of mode of operation with regard to how to live and behave. But creativity and imagination are in a league of their own and are uniquely individual practices. There is no system or structure to imagination or creative work. How does the imagination work? It can be a little difficult to describe exactly what imagination is and how it works. But it bears resemblance to meditation in terms of dissolving issues and finding solutions. Because when using the imagination, the individual is in an altered state of consciousness. There is no way to compose wonderful poetry or a breathtaking painting when the logical side of the brain is activated. Because the logical side of the brain wants to understand why each piece is placed in a certain way and wants to work sequentially and ABC fashion. This is not how creativity works, which experiments and sees how things play out without paying attention to standard rationality. It is the imagination, not logical processes, that is responsible for most human achievements. Steve Jobs used his imagination to create an entirely new product range that had never been seen before. Tesla is doing the same with his SpaceX and electric car projects. These are completely new paradigms. And consider that the best and most notable geniuses may not have even gone to school. According to Edward Bach, after he finished his studies, "It will take me 5 years to forget all I have been taught." Einstein has no faith in school and famously stated that, "Logic will get you from A to B, imagination will get you anywhere." The imagination is an amazingly powerful tool when you deploy it correctly, and it can generate a large number of healing benefits. This is another argument for the law of attraction proponents. Logically, you might find that you have an unresolved issue that you need to troubleshoot. But if you are highly imaginative and channel this in the right direction towards a core passion, your issues will dissolve without further investigation. Additionally, some creative proponents assert that the imagination is a way of bringing the subconscious to the conscious. In this way, you can paint a painting or symbol about an issue that you cannot consciously identify with. You might not understand why you feel good after doing a certain piece of creative work, but it could be because it touches on inner issues that cannot be consciously analyzed or discussed. The way that the subconscious communicates is in images and metaphors, not in logic or text. This is what children often do when they play and paint. Either way, extensive use of creativity and the imagination can do wonders for self-development and mental strength. How do I use my imagination? It can be hard to create a system or structure with regard to the imagination because by its very nature it does not conform to structures or anything approaching rational principles. The best thing that you can do is to really commit yourself to a creative process and watch the magic unfold. One of the best strategies is to create 100 paintings in a month. B. Write 1,000 creative words each day for a month. C. Try to visualize yourself in a desired setting at intensity for 10 minutes each day. However, it is almost amazingly difficult to get people to do these simple tasks. This is because people always want to know why and reach a rational goal. But these processes will shake up your mind and open up your creative consciousness. You will gain insights from your paintings or writings along the way. In fact, you will get better results if you do not have a goal in mind with these writings, paintings, visualizations, such as a monetary reward. If you can do something like this, the benefits will be huge. As an additional piece of advice, you don't have to learn how to paint in any way or even how to write or visualize the correct way. These are your creative works. Just do them and reap the benefits of your own imagination. Creative wealth manifestation tricks. There are some creative strategies that you can deploy in order to trick your brain into an abundance mindset. In many ways, you can treat it like a game. The brain is used to generating worry and fear at all times in relation to money. You need to try and get around this ingrained tendency by pretending to be wealthy. The brain does not have the capacity to distinguish between real and imaginary phenomena, as demonstrated by recent scientific studies. Consider what happens when you think about your favorite food. Your body actually starts responding biologically. Your stomach will start to grumble and you might even start salivating, despite no physical food being present. The more you think about food, the hungrier your body becomes. Likewise, the universe does not differentiate between real and imaginary, so you can use creative practices to trick yourself into thinking thoughts of wealth. Filled circle trick 1. Carry cash at all times. Where possible, make sure that your wallet is full of cash. It is better to have it on you physically. In the same vein, remember to tip 20% at all times. Both of these techniques have two significant effects. The first is that you will get into the mindset of someone wealthy, as you will be used to constantly having enough cash and always tipping well. The second is that other people actually view you as wealthy and start manifesting for you. They are also used to seeing you having money and being rich and associate your persona with wealth. Filled circle trick 2. Hang out with the rich. People who are rich, i.e. an abundance mindset, are used to having wealth at all times. They don't think about poverty or bills at all. If you can affiliate yourself with these people, then their energy and beliefs will rub off on you. If you want to become the best lawyer in your area, then you need to network and associate yourself with these people. Not for the knowledge, but to try and emulate their mindset that attracts legal expertise. Filled circle trick 3. Be grateful. Gratitude is the holy grail of manifestation. It has an advantage over manifestation because it can make you happy, while manifestations tend to be short-lived. If you can master both manifestation and gratitude, then you are really a master. Because you will be manifesting what you want and already appreciative of what you have. Additionally, when you are grateful for what you have already manifested, the universe shows you more things to be grateful for and manifestation becomes easier. Chapter 7. Immersion in different fields. Immersion is arguably one of the quickest and best ways to improve your mental and emotional conditioning. It is also one of the hardest. Imagine if you spent a year learning Mandarin Chinese while simultaneously learning C programming and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It would be an immensely difficult year for you. It would also be one of the most rewarding if you were able to pull it off. This is because each of these areas will teach your brain different things. When people learn things in a classroom learning, it is usually the worst kind, rote learning, reading from a screen. This is just not a healthy way to learn things and is also very repetitive. The way that people learn is every bit as important as the subject matter. So learning a language while talking to people is nothing like learning grammar from a book. And trying to create a new program in a software language is different from learning it in a classroom. Learning all three of these is just not realistic in the modern-day environment. But you could consider doing one of them, at least part-time. And there are also different forms of immersion. Immersion strategies. We have already mentioned two of the best immersion strategies available. These are intensive painting and intensive writing. Both of these draw on your creative faculties so you can make them stronger. Creativity is an excellent tool that you can use in nearly any context. Once you open up your creativity just a little, you can build momentum and make innovation and the imagination as core components of your existence. But it always takes commitment and willpower at the start to immerse yourself in the creative process. Consider that Mark Zuckerberg publicly posted that he was going to spend a year learning Mandarin Chinese. Intelligent people are constantly looking for ways to expand their mental capabilities. Travel is one of the most common immersion strategies available. Learning how different people think and behave is excellent for contrast against your own personal values and beliefs. The starkest example of this is when people of the West go to places like India and Thailand in the East. While people in the West are goal-orientated and live in the future, the people of the East tend to live in the moment more. This has its own set of drawbacks, as they generally don't seem motivated enough in terms of self-development. Many people spend at least a year of their lives traveling. However, they tend to go the wrong way about it. They often do it near the end of their lives and try to fit in as many places as possible, like ticking boxes off a checklist. When traveling, it is best to spend longer time periods in a set location to really imbibe the culture. You can immerse yourself in anything. Try to immerse yourself in minimalism for a month. No TV, smartphone, no unhealthy food, no social media, no computer, a clean desk, a clean room, a small set of clothes, etc. Remember that 21 days is the time it takes to incorporate a habit. So if you manage to follow through with something for over 21 days, then you can carry this habit forward with far less effort than when you started out. Painful immersion practice, the best kind. One of the most useful techniques that you can learn to develop a strong mental framework is to find what you hate and do it intensely, or try to do the opposite of what you are typically used to doing. In the modern world, people are set on trying to be comfortable. The biggest fear of someone in the modern era is to lose their income so they could not afford cable television or a smartphone bill, both of which do not contribute any real value while eating precious cognitive space. An old Stoic practice is to practice being as poor as possible for a set amount of time. This might sound strange, but there is actually nothing whatsoever to fear. It is modern-day comforts that are actually a cause of much distress, as well as the constant striving for more and more and more. When you confront your fears so directly, they lose a lot of their energy. They are only so powerful when you don't look at them. This could also be called a form of shadow work in the form of directly confronting fears. You can easily discover your fears through some creative writing and asking yourself some questions. Or just write out a list of things that you would never consider doing and ask yourself why. If you hate public speaking, try doing it intensely for a month or so. As painful as it is, you would be making immense progress. Be prepared. Understand that immersion is not going to be a pleasant process, by and large, though it will be very rewarding in the end. Can you remember how hard it was when you first had to learn the alphabet and string words together? This is what it feels like when you are learning something completely different. This is basically what immersion is. The more foreign the subject, such as Mandarin Chinese or a martial art, the greater the benefits. It will stretch your mind in ways that it is not used to being stretched. It is also worth considering that the vast amount of projects are abandoned early on. Most people finish their yearly resolutions 2 weeks into January. Before embarking on a project that could take you 3 months, be sure that you are prepared and that you are absolutely 100% certain that you want to do it. Chapter 8: Understanding Alternative Frameworks. One of the best ways to expand the mind is to read and research from a wide variety of different fields of study. In the West, we are certain that the scientific method is the best and the only one that works. But we cannot ignore the fact that our countries are sick, the planet polluted, and the people are largely addicted to technology. Suicide rates are sky high and people are coming down with different illnesses that were not there before. Our way of thinking and understanding is limited not only to our geographical location but also to our time. If Western science was to mix with traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda instead of dismissing these two systems, then more progress would be made. In any case, it can be helpful to see and understand different frameworks in order to strengthen our own minds. However, be wary of reading too much information and becoming no more than an abstract thinker without any real-world applications. As per Seneca the Stoic. Be careful, however, lest this reading of many authors and books of every sort may tend to make you discursive and unsteady. You must linger among a limited number of master thinkers, and digest their works, if you would derive ideas which shall win firm hold in your mind. Try to get a hold of a small number of different philosophies and viewpoints in order to better understand how things work instead of blindly dismissing them out of the box. Here are some alternative frameworks or philosophies that you can adopt. Take them one at a time. Astrology. The primary type of astrology stems from Indian scriptures known as the Vedas. However, astrology has its roots in all ancient cultures such as the Native Americans and shamanic cultures. Astrology is known as the noble science among spiritualists and the methodology is given great prominence, especially in India. Western and Vedic astrology are two separate fields that place emphasis on different planetary positions. The main purpose of astrology is that you can find your tendencies and understand your personality better for deeper introspection. Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the sister science of astrology and also originated in India. Ayurveda describes 3 kinds of energy: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Each person is one of 11 combinations of these elements and based on this combination recommendations are given with regard to exercise, diet, and meditation. Ayurveda is perfect for explaining the gaps in nutrition knowledge that Western science falls down on. Hinduism. Hinduism is unique among the religions because it is not as organized or structured as opposed to its contemporaries. There are hundreds of gods to be worshipped and Hindus get to select a god which confers particular benefits. In this way, Hinduism is actually more open and creative than traditional religions, which tend to be a little dogmatic and impose a belief system on you as opposed to letting you choose. Presentism. Presentism is the idea that only the present exists and that the past and the future are illusory. This is because time is just an illusion. The opposite of presentism is known as eternalism, where all moments in time are equally real. Presentism has its roots in Buddhism, while modern scientific theory tends to support eternalism to an extent. It has recently been modernized with the book, The Power of Now, by Eckhart Tolle. Stoicism. Stoicism is an impressive philosophy that is all about practicality, though it tends to denigrate emotions as pointless. It was founded in Athens and was practiced by Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. Other notable Stoics include George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, as well as Prussian King Frederick the Great. Modern practitioners include Nassim Taleb and Tim Ferriss. The idea behind Stoicism is about conditioning and improvement. So if you suffered through a terrible experience, it is simply fuel for further growth. Stoicism is concerned with action and has no time for endless debate, something which is needed in the modern era of information overload. Traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, is a Chinese study of health. The Chinese mindset is completely different from the East, and for this reason it can be excellent for the mind. Seeing things from an opposite point of view is good for mental expansion. This branch of medicine is based on the idea of yin and yang behind the foundational components of everything in the universe. A particular organ will have too much or not enough yin or yang energy, and treatments are provided to address these deficiencies. In TCM, energy lines known as nadis or meridians interconnect all over the body. Additionally, each organ is correlated with a particular emotion, such as grief, joy, or happiness. The concepts of nadis and meridians are also present in Indian arts such as Ayurveda. Taoism. Taoism is another Chinese subject that is shrouded in mystery. It originated from a text called the Tao Te Ching, which was written by a character called Lao Tzu. It emphasizes something called the way, which has nothing to do with a rigid structure or discipline. There are no rules, just gentle prescriptions as to how to follow the rhythms of life. Confucianism is another popular Chinese philosophy, but it is more dogmatic and has many rules and guidelines for behavior. Zen. Zen is about forgetting the self to a large degree. It is based around the practice of Zazen meditation, and Zen is an offshoot of Mahayana Buddhism. Zen cannot really be described in words, as it is claimed to be an experience as opposed to a concept. So after years of meditation, the practitioner becomes Zen. Without meditation, there is no way to achieve the state of Zen, and it is a core and sole component of the practice. Conclusion. There are a wide variety of ways to develop your mindset for greater success both personally and financially. A good place to get started would be diet, exercise, meditation, and affirmations. These are the most straightforward and effective to get the mind under control in a very tangible way. Once you have a solid grasp on these, you can consider immersion techniques and creative processes to really expand your awareness. Remember that developing a mindset will become a lifelong but thoroughly enjoyable experience. You just need to troubleshoot negative beliefs and emotional issues for a while before you can really expand.